Welcome to the next episode of the Big Little Business podcast. I am joined here this evening with Lindsay from Elsie's Help at Home. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. So we do home care for older people. We're based over in Boreham, but we cover the whole of Chelmsford and surrounding areas. And it's about creating a bespoke care package for our older people at home. So I think there's lots of businesses like ourselves out there doing home care. I think what we've tried to do a little bit different is really focus on the individual, and where people think that they have to have care a certain way, or it has to fit in with a company and what they can deliver. We've tried to make our service fit around the individual having it. So we sit down, we discuss what they would like, what they need, what times, because that's always a big thing. If you don't get up to 9 a.m, you don't want to get up to 7 a.m. At 7 a.m, you want to get up when you want to get up. So it's about sitting down and really creating a bespoke care package. And that's kind of it, really, in a nutshell.
Oh, lovely. So where are you based?
So we're based over in Boreham. We're next door to the Premier Inn. We're in the Grange, that big white building on the roundabout. So we're based there. All of our carers are community based. So we do get calls sometimes saying, how will the carer get to me if you're based in Boreham? But the carers travel from their home, they drive, and they go from call to call. So they drive from house to house. We cover central Chelmsford, and then all of the villages around, really. So Morden, Witham, Braintree. We go out to Brentwood, Ongar. We literally do a loop around of the villages, kind of all around Chelmsford.
Oh, brilliant.
So a big area, really. But different teams covering those areas. So we have a team that cover the Brentwood and Ongar side, a central Chelmsford team, and then the other villages, Morden, Witham, which makes it sound like we've got loads and loads of staff, but we don't. At the moment, as a small business, we've got little teams that cover that area. So our clients can really get to know those people and build really good relationships, have consistency, and actually, when that person goes back, they've got something to talk about, because they know that ex-worker was there yesterday and last night was going to take their family out for a meal. So then they see them again the next day and can say, how was that meal? So it breaks the ice, really, and it gives them talking points by having the same people, rather than strangers turning up at your door all the time and you're having to say to them, this is where you find the milk and this is where you do that. You've got key people who know you.
Yeah, it's building bonds as well, isn't it?
So important.
Yeah.
And I think especially for our clients who have dementia, routine is key, consistency is key. If we find something that works, we want to keep that going for them. And we don't want that anxiety of not knowing who's coming. Will they know my routine? What time are they going to turn up? So again, what we've done differently is we're sending out rotas. They know who to expect at what time. They've got that small team, and actually that team work off an app. They can see that routine, and if something changes, we can change that in live time. We can take that information, update it from the office, and that's straight onto the carers app to say this has changed. And of course, we're talking to people, but the app allows people to look at somebody's medication, for example, and see exactly what they're having, what dose, and mark that off. And that just means that we're not missing things, because we're human, and it's so easy when you've got loads of tasks to do for somebody in maybe an hour visit to miss things. So the app also allows people to kind of keep on track. It allows us to keep people safe, because I think that's a lot of family members' concerns. How is my loved one going to be safe? How is someone going to look after my loved one the way I would?
Yeah.
And it's never going to be exactly the same, but we've got lots of different things in place that mean we're kind of ticking all the boxes to the safety side of it. We've got that continuity with local people going in to see them, consistent people who can talk about, local things that they kind of may have done when they were going out, or lots of our clients are still going out and we take them out. So we can actually say, well, why don't we take you to see what's going on in Morden High Street, this Christmas?
Yeah.
So there's lots of kind of familiar talking ground as well, which is nice.
Yeah, that sounds lovely.
So can I ask a question? So when did you start this up?
So Elsie's Help at Home started last September. So we are 15 months trading now. I've done this for the last 22 years. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I left school. And I went on lots of different work experiences. And at the time, I went into an internet cafe because I used to watch loads of stuff on TV and I thought it'd be on roller skates. So I thought, I'm going to get to skate around, Saved by the Bell and all of those programmes in those days.
Beautiful, my time.
That's why I looked at you.
Thanks.
So, you have these ideas, and I went in and it was obviously nothing like that. And my mum was like, one of them was a care home. So I had the list of all these places I was going to go and try and see what I wanted to do. My mum was like, you will never work in a care home. You can't even tidy up at home. And I was like, well, I'm going to try it because right now I'm at a point where I'm not sure what I want to do. I'm going to go and try it. And I never looked back. They gave me a job. I stayed. I went off. I worked with people with learning difficulties. I've worked in challenging behaviour. Then I headed up a clinical team. We dealt with newborn babies to end-of-life clients with trachea, ventilators, peg feeds. And I ended up being a regional director, and I managed the whole of the South East, and I had a nurse team, and I had a case management team. And I loved it, but I got to the point where there was nowhere really to go. I had my little one, and I went and done other things, kind of still in the sector, but I just never felt like I'd found what I was looking for again after that. And that fitted as well, being local, being able to pick my little one up from nursery and all of those things. And my husband was like, do it yourself, stop moaning and do it yourself. I was like, I can't do that. And he was like, you're always moaning that nothing's ever the way you would do it and the level of care isn't what you think it should be. Try it. What's going to be the worst thing that could happen? Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. So he's been very supportive. I've got a 4-year-old now, so she's grown with the business. Our first year was the toughest. I mean, the last few months have been easier, but I invested a lot of money into the business because I've done it for so long. I knew all the safety bits that needed to be there for people to log in and out of visits so I can see when people have arrived, because someone with dementia can't phone you to tell you somebody hasn't got there. So I knew we had to have the system. So we got systems in place. I had to recruit people, but while I did that, I had to work the shifts, and you can't say, well, I'm only taking the people who want care between 9 and 5. So there was a lots of 7 a.m. starts and 10 p.m. finishes 7 days a week. And as we've grown, I think our biggest achievement is that we are growing through word of mouth. We don't have a big marketing budget, obviously, because we're a small business. But the lovely thing when it comes through word of mouth is it means you're doing something right, I think. And that's been great for us because, people are phoning up and saying, oh, can you do it? And actually, when we look at how we are growing and we look at kind of our, figures and all of our details of where is this coming from, lots of them are coming through people saying, oh, I use those for my auntie or for my mum and their referrals. So we're really proud. We're really proud of that. It's not been easy, but you can sit back on the better days and say, actually, this is worth it, for what people are saying about our service. Yeah,
that's what you need as well, isn't it? It's like we've said in every interview that we've done, it is community. That is the most important thing about what we're doing and what the businesses that we're bringing in to talk about as well is community. Is bringing people together to work with them and work with each other.
And it is really important. I think for our older people that's important because they're a generation where community was so important to them when they was out and about. It was a different world and they really looked after each other. So that's really important to them. But also I think what our feedback from our clients is they love that about the staff team. They're not a number. They know they're looked after and they know that, as a manager, I'm speaking to him all the time and I go and do the care all the time because I think, well, how do I know what's going on? How do I know what my staff are experiencing if I don't go in as well? And actually, how do I know what the clients are experiencing? How do I know what we need to change? And how can I say to them, well, I think we could do that better, actually? Because I always say, well, if you're paying for an hour and we're only doing this for 45 minutes, could we do this? But I don't know that sometimes unless I'm doing it myself because I'd be the one who'd be that particular because it's my service. Yeah. So I think they love that. They love that they're part of a business. One of my clients has drawn our logo. He's on our website and he's kind of done a little testimonial for us. He's on our leaflet, so he's asked to be on our leaflets and stuff. So
he's just chasing the fame, isn't he?
He loves it. He's so happy. But it's given him something to do as well because he spent so long working and when he retired became poorly quite quickly. And he's so artistic. So actually, we're just taking his skill set and using it to our advantage, you know, because we're so lucky to have his skill set. And he looked at it and he was like, leave it with me. And he done me all different drafts and was like, what do you think about that? And I was like, well, what do you think if I did this? He was like, oh, I wouldn't do that. But we've managed to involve people as we've grown.
We love
as
creative
well.
people. What's your thought on this? Well, I'd like to change it. No, I don't think I will.
Don't do that. But it's been amazing because our clients have, you know, they're growing with our journey. As our staff team, you know, get bigger, they're a part of that. They see people coming on board and they're kind of like our biggest supporters, and that kind of, you know, that kind of makes you warm and fuzzy inside, which is really cool. But it does. Yeah. It's nice that they're all involved. Yeah, but I feel that sense of, you know, a part of it.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. It's kind of like that feeling for you of, you know, that what you're doing is good. Yeah. What you're doing is giving back.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we deal with people, so we don't always get it right, you know, and I think that's the biggest thing in our industry, is to know that we don't always get it right, and to say, okay, I don't think that was, you know, good. How do we reflect on that, and how do we make it better? Because what you think is right with people sometimes isn't. And we have to encourage our clients to talk out as well, because older people sometimes feel like they have to sit there and just be like, well, you're coming to do my care and I've just got to accept what that is. Absolutely not. You know, if it's not right, you need to say it's not right. And we need to give people the power to do that, and to say, actually, it's okay to say that it didn't work out. That's how we're going to learn. And that's how you get the best service as well, which is what we want to be known for. I don't want to be the care company that just went in and did okay.
Yeah, you know, it's giving them a voice.
Absolutely. That person was okay when you left. The care was okay. We want people to be, when we left, I really enjoyed having them. You know, that service gave me everything I needed, but actually also gave me that bit more, that companionship I needed, that giggle, because those things are just as important as meeting someone's personal care needs or medication, because we might be the only person they see that day. So actually, if we run in and we just go, we're done all the tasks now, we're going, you know, sometimes it is that loneliness that we're just taking away, just a little bit of that I think
and I
really
suppose
massive.
A lot of them feel as though you're part of the family now.
Absolutely.
You know, you're not just going in to do what you need to do, you are part of their family.
And that's what we want. If we can take care from what, you know, like I said, I've done this for a long time, from just being care to being that extended member of somebody's family, that bit more, then I think, you know, we're achieving what we've set out to, really. And it's the difference. It's what kind of makes all the hard work worth it, when you think, yeah, we've done that bit more.
Yeah, but that's what their loved ones want as well, you know. Yeah. If somebody was looking after my loved one, I would want them to feel loved by that person that was looking after them.
Absolutely.
So...
And I love, like, you know, all of the kind of people's loved ones are really enjoying our service, and we get lots of feedback from them, and we're trying to get people to do reviews, and you forget about that because our job isn't admin based, so we forget. We're running around, we're going from A to B, you know, from clients' houses. We get half an hour in the office, maybe sometimes we do a bit of admin, and then we get 4 days in there. And I think, why are we not asking people to do reviews and talk about the service? You know, that we get these phone calls saying, oh, thank you, you know, what you've done is amazing. And we forget all of those. So we're trying to be a little bit better, so when people get to the website, they can see what other people are saying, because most people will say their own business is great, won't they?
Yeah, but it is what other people think.
Absolutely. You know. That's what matters.
Do you, when you obviously meet with someone you're going to be caring for, you obviously meet with their close family as well, who you know, sometimes suggest that that individual would need care. I'm guessing you get that buy-in as well when you form those relationships with those close family members, as well as the individual you're looking after.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always different for us. So we see such a wide range of people, that some people have mental capacity and they won't want other people involved, and that's their choice. Some people don't, you know, they're at the point of needing care because they're not able to do things or make decisions. So a loved one has took on that responsibility, and that's, I think, harder, because you're making that decision and you've got to get it right for somebody who is so special to you. And again, we live in a world where people always feel guilty because cost of living is so high, we all have to work. We can't do what used to happen in their generation and take time out and go and look after them. You know, the majority of us can't afford to do that. So it's a big pressure, it's a big responsibility you find for loved ones to do that. But it's nice when we can sit down and we can talk to them and we can include them in the journey, because I always say care isn't a quick fix. You have to bed it in like anything, really. You have to get it right. You might have to change people because it's a people-based business and we don't always like everybody. That's just the reality of it. But we shouldn't have to have someone in our home that we just don't gel with. You should feel comfortable with people coming into your home. So we try and take the loved ones through kind of a bit of a journey of what could go wrong, what we're going to do if it does, and actually how we're going to bed it in and all the different things that go along, because it's quite a detailed plan of shadowing and training and to make sure you've got the right people looking after that person and meeting their needs. But I think once you get loved ones phoning you and saying, you know, I can go to work now, I can actually feel happy that I know you're dealing with things, and if there's a problem you're going to talk to me, and you know, I just feel a lot more confident. Again, that just makes you feel like we're doing what we're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
When you started out on your own 15, 16 months ago, was it literally just you? And then how long was it before you took on your first member of staff, and how quick did that grow?
So I had a couple of carers that had come with me. So that knew me, and I said, look, I don't know how many hours I'm going to be able to offer you, but you know, do you want to come and work for me? Very loosely, not knowing what that would look like. And then I had a couple of clients who I'd also known from elsewhere, and they come along and put their faith in me, you know, and said, you know, you can do this. And I'd kind of said, you know, I'll do all the hours myself, I'll do 7 days a week, you know, you've put this faith in me and that's what we're going to do. But like I say, that a couple of guys come along with me, and all of a sudden calls were coming in, and that was the hardest part. Because you're not there manning a phone and you're going from client to client, and then you're trying to pick up all of the admin part and speak to people and update people on what's going on, and you know, then you've got to start paying people and all of those things as well around you and care yourself. But I think I was quite lucky that for some reason I had people who were like, you can do this, and came with me from the start of that journey, and have been my biggest supporters. You know, two of my clients' daughters, they're like, you know, you see them on our Facebook page, and you can always guarantee that they're liking it or sharing it and saying something positive. And for me, I think that's meant everything. But recruitment is tough. You know, growing is difficult. Maintaining is difficult, because trying to find the calibre of staff, you can't teach people to be caring or passionate. You can't do that. We can train people to do moving and handling, and we can train people to do basic life support and all of those things. But you've got to have that inside you. You've got to be able to really have a care, you know, a passionate, caring nature to be able to go in and care for people that bit differently, I suppose, if that makes sense.
Extra.
Yeah, that little bit more. You've really got to, with every bone in your body, love doing it, because it's 365 days a year. It's 7 days a week. There's shifts, so you've got to enjoy it. You've got to have that, and that's the hardest thing, I think, and that's probably where our growth has been limited, because I won't employ people for the sake of employing them. I'm not going to grow my business because anyone who walks through our door gets a job. My reputation is everything. This kind of whole bespoke thing, I'm so focused on keeping it like that as a grow. So I suppose it's that side of it that's always going to be our difficult part, is making sure that we grow, but we never ever let our quality dip, because we've got greedy, if you know what I mean. We start having our focus on financials rather than the people, and actually I always believe if we focus on the people, our growth will come through that organically.
I think if you focus on the money, you'll lose the customers. You'll lose the clients, because you do become greedy, and you're like, right, we can make an extra £1.50 an hour over a year, that equates to this. That's great, but your focus is gone from the person you're trying to give that care for.
Absolutely. And it's a people business.
Sure.
And it's the same with our staff. If we look after them, you know, we retain them. That means people are talking about our service and referring it because they've seen that same person, and that's what counts. It doesn't matter if I'm calling every day. If they're seeing the same team of workers and they're building those relationships, when they make those referrals to their friends, it's because they've got a fantastic care team. So looking after the care team as well is it's definitely a people's business, and it's about looking after people and hoping that through doing that really well, it will grow, itself, if you like, but safely, because we can't take on more people than we have the staff for, because that just becomes an unsafe business. So it's a balancing business, really, a lot of the time. But I think we're really lucky because I suppose as a team we love what we do. There isn't a person within the team that doesn't love their job. So if somebody's poorly, somebody steps in, and everyone's just got really big hearts and really enjoy what they're doing. And I think as long as we have that, then everything else will just slot into place as we go.
Yeah.
So how big's your team now? I know you said 2 or 3 of you at the beginning. So what size have you got now?
15 carers.
Wow.
And 2 office staff, which sounds lots,
We're
but
not really
actually
spread over such a vast.
No, and not for a care company. It's not for a community-based business. It's not really. We've got 38 clients, and that sounds like a lot. But some people use us once a week to go shopping. Some will use us for 3 hours a week. Some will use us for 21 hours. Everyone's package is so bespoke because they're creating this with our help. So, we don't say, well, you've got to have this. We sit down with them and say, okay, what do you need? Well, this would kind of work. Well, you could do it this way. And we give them the ideas because it's new to people. A lot of people haven't had care, but then we say, what do you want to do with it? How do you want to do it? So everything sounds lots, but actually, in the grand scheme of things, it's probably not, because, like I say, it is a big area, and you've got to allow for sickness and holiday. And the fact that we're running a business that runs 365 days a year from around about 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. most nights. So, Christmas Day, the majority of our clients will still have care. So the team will still be out. These people, our carers, they deserve breaks. They have breaks. So it's not as big as it sounds, I think, when you say it out loud.
I think, as you say, you can't have 300 patients and 20 staff, 15, 20 staff, because that you are not giving that personal level of care and attention that you are selling, and then what you want to give to these people. So I think your numbers are balanced probably quite well at the moment, don't they?
Absolutely. And I think as well, we're not a care company that are looking to go out to have franchises or to be nationwide, like some of the companies, which really works for them, but for us, that's not what we're about. I think I'm a little bit too particular to do that. I couldn't be in all these places at the same time. We just want to have a really good local service. I never want to not know every single client or their loved one. I think that's what makes the business the way it is, because I know everybody. I go out and I see them all, I do all of the reviews, and actually, not because I'm more important than anyone else, but the legal responsibility, which there's a lot of legal responsibility for care companies, it sits with me. And when you're buying a service and there is that, that risk factor of medication or whatever, I think a lot of people want to see that person where the responsibility sits with. They want to know who you are, what you're about. Do you take it seriously, that responsibility? And, in the worst case scenario, if you've got 3 people who go down poorly, what are you going to do about it? Are you still going to, care for my loved one? They want to know that I take that level of responsibility serious. And I think that's what's been so important with our service, is that face-to-face, knowing me, what I'm about, what I'm going to do in crisis. And I think COVID's made that even more of a thing, because obviously after the whole COVID thing, now we know that people can be wiped out. You can have lots of people wiped out. People don't want to go into care homes because you had the whole thing where people couldn't get in to see their loved ones, and, people were shut down in care homes, and obviously lots have changed. But I think that whole thing made people sit back and say, actually, if I can be at home, I want to.
Yeah.
And we've seen so much more kind of demand of people staying at home, even to end of life, to pass at home. So, you know, through that, it is about knowing if someone is going to stay at home, what are you going to do to make sure they're safe in the most extreme circumstances that a few years ago we never would have even thought about.
Yeah.
So, in growing your business, you mentioned a couple of challenges. What kind of things have you kind of struggled with apart from getting the right staff in? Is there anything that you've had, new skills you've had to learn?
Oh, loads. Do you know, I think for me, the biggest thing has been the responsibility of employing people. You never ever think about that when you're like starting up. Well, I didn't anyway. I thought, well, it's going to be really hard getting carers and clients and doing everything at the right time, because ours is a timing business. You can end up too many staff and not enough, or vice versa. But then you have to make sure that you can pay these people, that they can pay their mortgages, you know, that you've got enough work to enough staff. That's a big responsibility. Yeah. And obviously, like I said, we've got the staff on, setting up systems for the safety. I knew all of the systems, but I'd never set one up myself. Always had someone.
It's having the right people as well. Like you said earlier, it's bringing in the right people.
It's the right people. It's the balancing act. It's the right systems to keep the business safe. You know, we get notifications pinging on our phone left, right and centre. Someone's logged in here, someone's logged out there. And that's been key, because we're not manually having to phone around. But all these things come at a cost, and it was managing that budget as well. And I've managed other people's budgets, but when it's your own, it's completely different.
So on that, when you started this, did you have an idea of what budget you would need to start it, or did you get a few surprises along the way?
Lots of surprises along the way. Yeah, my husband, bless him, you know, was the bank. Because when I went to do this, he had to become the bank, because obviously I didn't have any income, and we invested our savings into it, and I was like, that's a lot of pressure if this goes wrong, isn't it, you know? So it was being really mindful of what I did, and I think we're a little bit, you know, if my old boss is watching, I apologise. You're a little less, you know, careful of other people's budgets, because you think, oh, why shouldn't you spend that extra? And now I'm like, oh, we can't spend that on that. You know, we don't need that. So I think, that the financial side of it is a lot. When you've got your own mortgage, your own family to look after, that's a lot of pressure. Paying people is a lot of pressure. If there is a problem, it sits on my shoulders. Yeah. I'm the registered person, and I'm the nominated individual for the business. So if anything goes wrong, it's me that's going to be in court, and I take that really seriously. So it's all of those pressures and having ways to manage them. And I think whilst it's been a tough first year, I'm really pleased that we decided to put the money into doing that, and didn't say, well, actually, we're going to do the bare minimum to get through until the business makes money to do that. Yeah. Because actually we know we've kept people safe from the off, and we've got really good systems in place now. But yeah, I mean, do I still have sleepless nights? Of course, I think I'm always going to, because it's a huge responsibility looking after people's loved ones and paying people and being responsible for their mortgages. And actually, I think if I ever get to the point where I'm relaxed and I say everything's fine, that's when I've got to question it. I think I'd rather be, because that I know my passion is there for it, and that's what drives Elsie's is that passion. If I ever kind of get to the point where I don't have that for it, then I think it's not the kind of business to be in. And that's what I'd say to anyone. If you're going to go into a business and you don't feel that passion, that excitement for it, then don't do it, because it's so hard. If you don't love it with every part of your being, go and work for someone else and let them have the worry of paying people and, you know, being legally kind of, you know, we're registered with CQC. So we have to make sure we're meeting all of their guidance. So if you don't love it, let someone else do all of that, and you just take a nice salary.
You're talking about the legal, the registration side of things, and that I'm guessing with what you do, there's an awful lot of red tape to go through, and you've got to have numerous qualifications in doing what you do. when you bring on staff, do they have to have similar, or do you train them along the way to get the right accreditations to be at the level you want them to
So
be?
care staff, they don't have to. So you can take care staff with experience or without. And we've got a mixed bag. But lots of the people that I've taken that don't have experience, they have a story. So a story where they've looked after a loved one or a child. And actually, that is the best experience you can ask for. I've found those have been some of my best staff because they've been in those shoes. They understand what it looks like, and actually they understand the highs, the lows, and they want to go and make a difference because they're coming into it because they've walked those shoes. So they have a level of compassion you can't have till you've been through a situation. And like I say, some of those are the carers that you would think they've been doing it for 20 years, but they haven't. They've just got an understanding that is more than a practical one, it's an emotional one. You know,
And you can't teach that, can you?
You can't teach that. And I always say the rest I can. So I'm a trained trainer, so I do a lot of my own training. And we do a blended approach, we do online, I do training, they go out and do shadowing alongside current staff to get to know people and stuff like that. And I always say I can train people to do moving and handling, you know, I can train people basic life support, that's my skill set, that's what I do. But I can't teach you to care, and I can't teach you to have that passion. So yeah, carer wise, it's the mixed bag. Once they come on board with us, there's loads of different things, kind of MVQs and stuff like that they can go and do. There's lots of funding out there that we tap into from all different companies across the board, which is fantastic. But again, you cannot train somebody to care, and I think that's the key, is actually finding that bit first before you go any further.
You can't train empathy. You know, I guess with every one of your clients, they're at an age range of, let's say, 65 to 95, for example, and they've all got their own personality, they've all got their own, they're all set in their own little ways. So the way you go into Joe is going to be different from the way you'd speak to Dave, who's different to the way you speak to Brenda or whatever it is, because everyone's individual, right? And you've got to be able to accommodate that and change persona to suit each one, right?
Absolutely. And I think I've seen lots of bad care over the years, and you know, bad care is heartbreaking because it takes away those individual things, because people get worn down until they're at the point where they're not themselves anymore. They're dreading a carer coming in, and it's just, and we've taken over a few care packages where we've had clients like that. And one of our ladies, actually, she lives near the office, and she says to me now, you know, I was a different person. I'd got to the point where I was just a different person, and I'm back to being me now. And she has a wicked sense of humour. She's always done loads of community work, a teacher, you know, by background, and into all dramatics and stuff. And now when we go in, she does all her impersonations and all these different things. And she wasn't that person when we first met her. So it's fantastic. It's fantastic if we can deliver the right care, because people keep those things that keep them unique. But the saddest part is when you see bad care, people lose that individual part of them, because if you don't have someone to tell your jokes to, you stop telling them. So if your carer doesn't want to interact with you and just wants to go in and do the tasks and actually is ignoring you or not finding that funny, you stop telling your joke.
Yeah, Charlie's like that with me. I was going to say she looks at me and rolls her eyes, tucks and walks off. Yeah, every time.
It's a skill.
Yeah, isn't it? You're very good at it.
I've seen it.
I've witnessed it firsthand. So before we wrap this up, we always ask if there's one bit of advice or like a bit of a golden nugget you can give to anyone looking to start up a business, or you know, think they've got a bit of a side hustle that's got an idea. What kind of knowledge would you give to them?
I think if you love something, if you are truly passionate about it, do it. Which sounds like, oh, you can just go and do anything. But you have to love it, and you have to be passionate about it. You have to work really, really hard. And I think if you love it and you're passionate, people will see that. And that's what people want. They don't want to buy into, you know, something you're just selling because of the sake of selling it. I think people can sense that you feel it, that it's in your gut, that you live and you breathe it. And that's my advice is, Don't do it anything because you think you're going to make money. Do it because you love it, because you want it to succeed, and then I think the rest will happen.
The money will come from the back of it, but you know, you've got to put the hard work in. But if you're passionate about it, it's not going to be hard work because you enjoy it.
Because you enjoy
Exactly.
it. And then actually everything else that comes from it is a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we only live once. I think that's probably the biggest thing we see of all of our people. You know, they say you only live once, don't never live with any regrets. Why do a job that you can't stand your whole life because you want money? Because I tell you, when it comes to the end, it doesn't matter how much you've got.
No.
You know, it's the life experiences that you can share and how happy you are.
What a good note to finish on.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's been brilliant. Thanks so much for coming to talk to us.
Thank you very much.
It's been brilliant.
It's been great having you here.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it, actually. I really, really enjoyed it. Even though, I mean, some of what you said, I had no idea who you was talking about, but I've really enjoyed it.
I get that a lot.